Hey guys, welcome back to Mads Magic, and right now in our hands we have the Poco X3 Pro. Well, the phone itself is quite good, and for the price that we are talking, that is below $300, depending on the variants you take, this is one of the best phones that you can get at this price point. And when you talk about the variants, well, you get two variants based on its RAM storage, where you have a 6 GB variant and you have the 8 GB variant. And basically it starts off with 128 GB internal storage, which is quite good when you are into multitasking and you got to store up quite the images, because it can expand up to 1 TB, which is quite good. Okay, and it's a bit heavy in the hand when you see and when you hold it in your hand. It's quite heavy, and this is from a user of the Note 8 of Samsung, and we've been using the Note 8 for 3 years. Quite happy with the phone, but it got too laggy, and we had to change it. And I think that's why we don't want the Exynos in India. We do not like the Exynos in India. Just gets too laggy. Right here, well, when you're speaking about the Exynos, we might as well address this now, that this phone runs the Snapdragon 860, which is a much better chip than most phones using the Snapdragon 750 at this range. We have done a lot of multitasking, especially on Word and Excel, and this phone has rocked it so far. We've been using this for a month, I guess, by now, and it's shown no signs of lag or anything like that, though we do heavy work. And that's because it runs a Snapdragon 860, because of which it's also supported with a massive battery of 5160 mAh. And because of that and the Snapdragon plus the refresh rate, you can rock a good wallpaper like this. You know, it's live and it just makes your phone more interesting. And well, right on the box you could see that this phone was known for its size, for the battery, but more importantly for the refresh rate. Right at the box you could see Reality Flow 120 Hz, which is, well, what every phone right now is meant to have. 90 Hz is now at the past, I guess. 60 Hz, you're ancient. We do not want any more 60 Hz phones. 120 Hz or above is what most of the phones do give us right now. Then at the front, what you see is the phone rocks a massive 6.67 inches screen, and this is an IPC LCD screen. So the phone itself, at the bottom, it has a USB Type-C, which most of the products nowadays are going for, including your Macs. And it does have a headphone jack for all you wired headphones and earphone geeks. You're going to love this, okay? The most interesting thing is the fingerprint sensor, which is also your switch on and switch off button. And it just makes sense having it there. You know, when you lift up the phone, your thumb automatically goes there. When you have to hold it in your hand, your thumb just naturally goes there. So it makes sense having it right over here. And it's quite snappy, you know, it's very snappy. Right when you switch on the phone, what you do see is that you get a bunch of unique options as a wallpaper, and we've taken a live one, a man just dancing around. It does take a hit on the battery, very little bit, but it's worth it because it just looks too good, man. And the phone rocks a MIUI version 12.0.4 and also runs, well, it runs Android 11, so that's quite good, man. And like also Poco has told us that they will be supporting the phone for at least 3 years with regular updates, which is quite good. 3 years for a phone which is $300 or lesser is wow. I mean, I have no words, okay? We are living in an era where you get phones which get yearly updates of maybe 3 years, and you have to pay $1,000 for that, like the OnePlus, or you have Samsung, your Apples. But you have Samsung with just 3 years, and well, these guys are giving it for you for 3 years of updates, and you got to pay $300. So I don't know, man. The smartphone world is interesting, I guess. You can see that the MIUI is quite close to your basic Android, versions of your UI, but you do find some sort of differences, and it will get some used to if it's your first phone with the MIUI. And here is the difference where, if you want to access your notifications, you got to swipe from the top left. If you want to access your settings, you have to swipe from your top right. So that will get some used to it. It took me some time to get used to it, but now I'm fine. And the phone, well, the refresh rate is what we have to talk about a bit, at least at 120 Hz. You can see the difference in my hand. I have the Note 8 having a refresh rate of 60 Hz, and this one is 120. Snappy. The phone is very snappy. We have played a ton of games. We have done multitasking using apps like Excel and Word, and we have been doing a lot of videos for our YouTube channel. So make sure to like and subscribe and support us. Plus, the phone does have quite the interesting look when you look at the back. It has that lavish logo of it right at the back with the blue. It just looks too good. You're going to turn at least 1 or 2 eyeballs with that. Don't worry about that. But leaving all that aside, we're here to talk about the quad camera setup in the back and the front selfie camera, because that's what everybody wants in a phone. Something which you can take a good picture in a quick shot. So the back cameras are basically a quad setup, and you have the main wide camera, which is a 48 megapixel with an f1.8 aperture, and my god, the photos that we can take with this is superb. Then we have the massive ultra wide with a field of view of 119 degrees, 8 megapixel f2.2 aperture. You can take some real clarity videos and photos with this. Next you have 2 cameras, which is your macro and your depth sensor, and both of them rock at 2 megapixels. So it really works, and we have some shots. As I'm speaking, you could see all the shots that we have taken. The videos will be up shortly. The video, as we spoke, is recorded at 4K, but not at 60 frames per second. It is run at 30 frames per second. But if you really want to go ahead and rock a 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second, gotta go for the 1080p. Let's talk about the selfie camera, because that's what everybody is in. You have the TikToks, you have YouTube Shorts, you have YouTube, you have vlogs, and you need a good selfie camera which you can take good quality pictures and videos. Selfie camera is rocked as a small circle on the front screen. Really, people have embraced this Samsung feel, which is quite good. And well, the selfie camera itself is a 20 megapixel f2.2 wide camera. You can take really very good videos at 1080p at 30 frames per second. So not the high-end specs which you expect, but again, this phone is a budgeted phone, the true budgeted phone below $300. So here you have these features, which is quite seen on these phones. That is, if you have a WhatsApp and you have another number, you can have another WhatsApp app for that too. So you have these multi apps, which are really good for those people who have a number which is meant for their business and another number which is for their personal use. And the phone itself is quite good for viewing, and especially me getting hooked onto Netflix or Amazon or YouTube, man, I can just spend hours. So be careful when you buy that. It could be a bit addictive. Here you have another thing where you have the USB port, and it does support fast charging, so you can get your phone quickly charged up within an hour. I have done that from 0 to 100. Within an hour you get a complete battery. So really good. Okay, now we're going to have a look at the small features of the phone, like UFS 3.1. Now that's really going to be helpful for guys who want to transfer data from their phone into the laptop, or vice versa. Because of this, speeds at which it gets transferred is really fast, and we have tested it out and it's really damn good. Another thing is, this phone has NFC, so you could go swipe a payment from your phone without using your card, and in this situation we are living in the pandemic, this is a welcome feature at this price range. Remember that we're talking about less than $300, and that's a big bonus actually. Well, the phone, for the price, the specs and everything, we have 6 boxes that we should tick. Taking inspiration from MKBHD, let's have a look at them. Box 1 is the look of the phone, the aesthetic, and with the look of this blue beast with the big logo at the back, you're going to turn a lot of heads, and it looks really luxurious in your hand, and it's a tick for me. It's a tick. Next is the battery life at 5160 mAh. We can just be using the phone continuously. I have used the phone for 6 hours straight on, from 100 to 0. 6 hours screen on time with games and reviewing, with also games and YouTube, plus we saw Netflix, and actually I watched an entire movie. Or if you're not a hard user, if you're not a heavy user, you could wrap it up maybe in a day. In a day, you don't need to do much of charging. When you're back home, you can just plug it in and you'll be happy. Next is 3, which is the refresh rate at 120 Hz. Well, we are in this time period where phones really need to rock 120 Hz or above, not the 90 Hz anymore. That's a bit historical, and what's ancient is the 60 Hz. Nobody wants to watch a phone at 60 Hz refresh rate anymore. This is from a user who's been using a phone which is from 60 Hz, and I really love this 120 Hz refresh rate. I can actually make the difference. That's another tick. And next is the processor, using an 860 Snapdragon. Well, you're going to save up on a lot of battery issues which you're going to have if you use a 750 or an Exynos. I really like the way they both work together, which is the battery, the CPU and the GPU with the screen refresh rate. It just makes perfect sense. A lot of thought has gone in while making this phone. Next one is the camera. Well, the quad camera, the front selfie cameras, as you can see with evidence which we have done in the video, that this camera is really rocking. 4K 1080, the best wide cameras or the macro, whatever you want. Plus the camera app itself has some beautiful features like AI, HDR, get super slow motion, or you can get short video, clone motion. All those things you could have a look at, and it's just going to get more addictive, especially if you're hard on the social media side. Well, this is a very good phone for you camera lovers. Lastly but not least, the most important thing, well, anybody goes in to buy a phone, is the price range. At below $300, it's below $300. I'm not saying this is a $300 phone, it's below $300. Well, this is a buy. I mean, it just hit a home run with this one thing itself. This one can be one of the most successful phones that, Poco has made and launched in India. And a small thing over here too for you guys who are interested. Well, this phone is made in India. It's right on the box over here, made in India. So if that's interesting for you guys, that's good. But I would recommend to everybody who's going ahead and looking for a budgeted phone, a truly budgeted phone, this one has to be one of the best top picks that you should go ahead for. One more thing is very important, is 90% of the viewers who watch these videos are not subscribed. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and let's grow together. Let's help out each other over here. We're going to come back with more videos. Let it be on phones or unboxings or cooking or anything. We're going to come back with more stuff. So make sure you like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with more stuff on Mads Magic.